Welcome to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Now here along with Dr. Bonati, your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thank you for joining us for American Medicine Today, brought to you by the Bonati Spine Institute. I'm Kimberly Brumell, alongside world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. Alfred Bonati, Ethan Euchre, and our... How do we say it? Senior fellow? Jeff Wagstaff.
I just like how that sounds.
I know you do. You're the only one, though. None of us like calling you that.
Oh, come on.
He's rocking it.
He is.
If my grandmother were still alive, she would be so proud that I had become a senior fellow at the Bonati Institute.
Even though it's a purely fictional title that you bestowed upon yourself and means nothing.
Oh, if you put it that way.
Ouch.
That was a burn.
Did somebody wake up on the wrong side of the bed today?
Nah, I'm good. Let's do this.
Well, we have guest Dr. Leuthardt on the line, and he is one of the most prolific inventors with 800 patents either existing or granted. He is on the show. Now, he has the most incredible technologies, aren't they? Like brain.
Well, first of all, he's a neurosurgeon, which already is pretty impressive. He's a biomedical engineer. He's an X Prize winner. He has a bunch of patents out there. He's an inventor. He's an author
of RedDevil 4,
which is kind of why he's on here. Is RedDevil 4?
Yeah.
You can get it on Amazon, anywhere else. But the reason we're talking to him is sort of the collision of medicine and technology.
Unbelievable.
And we got him on the phone. Dr. Leuthardt, how are you this afternoon?
Doing great.
So tell us a little bit about RedDevil 4, the premise, before we get into the whole brain-machine interface. It's pretty cool stuff.
Absolutely. So the book really imagines a near-term future around 40 years from now when brain implants such as brain chips, brain-computer interfaces, are essentially as common as cell phones and laptops today, where essentially all of our technology is now just a small chip that's the size of a thimble implanted into our head. And in that world, there's a series of really brutal murders that happens, and they all happen to be patients of a prominent neurosurgeon. And he's got to figure out very quickly what's happening to these patients so that he can prevent essentially more of these type of murders from happening. Because essentially these patients are these are prominent people in society who start doing very bad things, and since they're essentially getting taken over and their brains are getting hacked to do very malicious things. And so it really, and to do that, he's also really has to put some of his life's work on the line, which is some of the artificial intelligence that he's developing at that time.
Now, I'm reading here, Dr. Leuthardt, that you're a pioneer in developing brain-computer interfaces. So you've already done this yourself in reality?
That's right. So I have an engineering lab, and we're really working on creating brain-computer interfaces to restore function to people with spinal cord injury and stroke. We have a clinical trial right now where patients who have paralyzed hands, for instance, due to a stroke, can put on a head cap, and in about 30 minutes we can decode their intentions to move their paralyzed hand.
Wow.
And use that to allow them to control an external orthotic that they wear. So literally they can have a paralyzed hand for years. They put on this robotic exoskeleton. They think about moving their paralyzed hand, and it moves the way they would want it to.
That's incredible.
That's unbelievable. Now, so basically you have invented kind of a machine that'll read your thoughts. I don't know if that's something that we actually want. I don't even want
Well, we have, and we've done it for motor movements. We can know, which fingers you want to move, what direction you want to move, your arm or hand. We've actually, we were the first in my lab to develop a speech brain-computer interface. So we're starting to break down the different components of how you form words in your mind. And so, again, we're early into that, but certainly the notion of decoding either your actual words as you're saying them or your imagined words is completely possible right now.
This is just amazing, because wasn't there a movie years ago that somebody gets put in jail because of their thoughts, yet they hadn't acted on them, they had just thought them?
Minority Report?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. So I mean, what I'm thinking along the terms of using these things to create like a super soldier. When I first read this, I thought, I bet if you could meld man with machine, that would make the ultimate soldier. Are there any military applications for this technology?
Well, there certainly are, and really the whole world changes, quite honestly, once the brain becomes accessible, when you can decode your thoughts, right? Because whether it be to connect you to machines to make you stronger, faster, more dangerous, more lethal, or you can even really take it one step further. Is maybe you've got the super trained Navy SEAL, and kind of just like they're flying drones today, they're just controlling a robot 1,000 miles away that has the instincts and the reflexes, but essentially the disposable body to fight a war without any harm to the actual soldier.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
Are there any applications that could help people who are either paralyzed from birth or who are in accidents, where maybe that gives them the ability to function or to walk again?
Absolutely. So we actually published this a while in the journal called Pediatrics, where we really showed that kids could use brain-computer interfaces. And we actually did it with the intention of helping kids with cerebral palsy. And we looked at very specific signals where a lot of times kids with certain types of cerebral palsy, only one side of their body is affected. And we looked at kind of the healthy brain to see if there were still motor intentions related to the affected limb. And similar, just like we saw in stroke, we saw it in cerebral palsy as well. So one could envision using these to restore function in children.
Wow.
That's amazing. So I just can't help but think that technology like this, especially if it fell into the wrong hands,
could be very dangerous.
Could be something that's a very frightening future. How do we protect ourselves from this technology?
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. And really, in my book, RedDevil 4, I wanted to paint the good, the bad, and the ugly, in the sense that, you're absolutely right that with great science, I think that you have great promise for things to, again, fix stroke, fix cerebral palsy, treat Alzheimer's. But you also have, as well as the possibility to magnify the capability of a human being. There also are new vulnerabilities that kind of just like today, if somebody hacks our computer, it really disables us in a certain sort of way. And similarly, as we have these technologies emerge, if we can hack them, if we can manipulate them, there's new forms of invasion of privacy and new forms of manipulation that can really be detrimental. And how we think about that and how we deal with it, I think it's an important question to ask. And in some senses, that's one of the things that drives my book is that you're going to see again, there's going to be moments in that book where you're going to be like, wow, this future's amazing. And there's going to be moments when you're going to say, wow, that's terrible. And because people will use it for all sorts of reasons. Imagine that if you got these brain-computer interfaces, that perhaps the future crystal meth is not actually a drug that you swallow, but it's a code that you download that can really give you experiences that you couldn't otherwise have,
Doctor,
but are addictive.
Can I interrupt you for just one second? I think this whole thing is fascinating, but also there was something that I saw on TV. It was called Futurist, and it talked about mind control helping technology for surgeries. Can we retain you just for a moment into, is that something that your interface could do? Is that something where doctors could perform surgery by thinking about it and working with tools?
Certainly that's a future application. Again, once you decode the brain, what machines do you want to control and how do you want to use them? So, for instance, could you create a virtual surgeon that's 1,000 miles away? Again, using the military example, instead of having the robo-soldier, you have the operative suite where basically it's being controlled by somebody virtually. So absolutely, that would be a natural extension of this type of technology.
Pretty incredible stuff.
You.
Dr. Eric Leuthardt, neurosurgeon, author of the futuristic thriller RedDevil 4. It's pretty much available everywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all of the above. We appreciate you joining us on American Medicine Today.
Great. Well, thanks so much for having me.
All right. Take care.
We have Dr. Jill O'Donnell-Tormey, who will be joining us in the next segment, who has a breakthrough of the year for cancer patients.
It's amazing.
It is. You're listening to News Radio 970, WFLA.